This is a grappler striker. Even though Almeida can do his thing on the ground, this is a grappler striker. And I think that Sabatini, if he spends too much time on the feet, it's over. Almeida, if that striking and flashiness and that pop on that crisp right hand that comes down, if that gets taken away, it's probably going to be over. Do you see it the same way, or is it a little more complicated?
Exactly the same way, Derek. As much as I don't want to put these two in those boxes, you can tell each of them are more comfortable in those exact boxes, man. Grappler and striker. It's how it goes. And you're right. If Pat Sabatini can see one of those strikes coming, because Almeida does have a very crisp 1-2, also a very powerful left hook. If you can see those coming, you do your tape, you see his tendencies, you can get on the inside, shoot to a hip, lock him up. Pat Sabatini can work, man. Pat Sabatini can seriously put you in some dangerous positions. It's can he do that, and has he had enough time to recover? I mean, it's almost been a full year since the Damon Leach performance. Not necessarily recover mentally, but recover, mentally, if you will. Has he gone past that? That's going to be the thing, man. And this one, to me, another very close fight, man. We're talking about, now that we're getting into the deeper section of the card, these get closer and closer and a little harder to predict because especially for this fight, who's better on the night? Who's better stepping in there with a little more confidence, a little more bravado, and going to make the fight their own? Who do you think that's going to be?
I personally think it's going to be Pat Sabatini, depending, right, if he fights up to his capacities. This dude, Pat Sabatini, if he had not lost that fight against Damon Jackson, he'd be on a 7-fight win streak right now where he's just smashing everybody. He's joining the ranks of all of these other Philadelphia guys who are just killing it right now, right? But then you got Lucas Almeida, who's a destroyer in and of itself, right? In and of himself. A dude who, listen, man, he finishes guys. But remember when he ran into Daniel Zellhuber, right? Another fantastic prospect right there. Things got a little bit weird, right? You lost the decision. Things aren't always going to go your way, especially when you're primarily a finisher and it drags out into these long, ugly grinder fights. If anybody can grind out a fight, it's Pat Sabatini. The question, AJ, you got your face caved in by a knee on an immediate level change. Immediately. As soon as the fight starts, level change, boom, I'm rocked, now I'm finished, right? Does Pat Sabatini inadvertently, due to that mental PTSD, keep it on the feet maybe a little bit longer than he should in this fight? What do you think?
I think so, Derek, especially because if you look back at that Michael Trizano-Lucas Almeida fight, Trizano had Almeida in trouble, bro. In trouble. Seriously hurt in the first round. If Pat Sabatini could come out, do that, hurt him on the feet, get him wobbled a little bit, and then control the rest of the ground, we saw Michael Trizano almost, if he had about another minute and a half to really get there and work, he could have finished it. But it's just a bad timing, and that's how the game goes. If we see the same thing happen in round one, I think Pat Sabatini can put some serious work here.
But how impressive is it that Almeida was out like that and came back, and the way he knocked out Mike Trizano was out of a cartoon. It was it was comical, you know what I mean? The dude fell out, oh shit. And I was just God damn, you got some power on your shots. I don't know, man. I'll agree with you. This is a very close fight, and it's whoever can inflict their will. And it's easy to say. That's every fight. But in this one, truly, two clashes of styles, who is going to do what? And then for Pat Sabatini, for an example, let's say you grapple him up for 2 rounds. Now round 3, you're gassed, muscles, arms, lactic acid buildup, and Almeida just starts teeing off. Who's to say? But I will say this, man. This is what makes it interesting. If you look between both of these guys, it's not particularly like Pat Sabatini is just going decision every fight. This dude's finishing a bunch of dudes too in early round 1. So is Almeida. So I think it will get interesting come to that round 3. However, let's take a analysis of these props, right? Of course, Pat Sabatini, minus 180 favorite, plus 155 comeback for Lucas Almeida. I can see that being fair given the grappling advantage. But when we're looking at some of these props, man, TKO plus 265 for Lucas Almeida, submission plus 235 for Pat Sabatini. I think those, in terms of finishing, it's either TKO Almeida, submission Sabatini. Which is more lucrative on either end?
Ooh, Derek, I think the TKO by Almeida, if it comes in the first couple of rounds, round 1, round 1.5, 2, right around there, the TKO for Almeida looks real juicy. But as much as that fight goes on, that plus 235 for Sabatini really looks to be a little more manageable, if you will. Although we have seen the gas tank of Almeida stay up, stay level, stay fueled. Now, my question to you, Derek, plus 1,000 on the TKO for Pat Sabatini, as well as the 1,600 for submission by Lucas Almeida. Don't get me wrong. I think that one's a little more unreachable, if you will. Do we see a ground and pound TKO out of Sabatini camp? And is there serious money right there?
I think there is serious money right there because people rule that out always. If he gets you to the ground and he could stop you with strikes, bro, plus 1,000, like where does that number come from? And I think it's honestly just because if you look at it, Pat Sabatini, historically, he goes for the chokes much more. He's one of those guys, man. You know what I mean? Why waste my time? Look at Jelton Almeida. Why waste my time with the ground and pound when I could just choke you? I could punch you in your face. You're going to open your neck, and I'm just going to choke you. Easy. An easy night. What are we talking about? I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting fight. I'll tell you this much, though. I think someone's getting finished. I have a hard time seeing this one go to a decision unless Sabatini grinds it out the whole fight and doesn't take any risks because he really wants that win. Even though I see him as that type of competitor, I also see him as hailing from the great state of Pennsylvania. Those Philly boys got some pride behind them. Give me that submission, man. Give me a Pat Sabatini submission, and I actually want it early, man. Give me late first round.
Ooh, Derek, I like it, brother. I like it, man. Me personally, I'm going with that TKO prop. Give me Lucas Almeida. It also early, man. Give me round 1.5. Give me that early round 2. Get a little gas going. Then we're gonna see some counter lefts coming out of the Almeida camp.
That's right. Let me actually pull something up really fast, bro, because I want to see just what the number is. I had it off the top. All right, real quick. AJ, freestyle for me real quick while I pull it up. Give me like 10 seconds.
There we go, folks. You heard the freestyle. No, seriously, going into this one, folks, it is a very close fight. I know it says minus 180, plus 155 for the Almeida. Me personally, while breaking down these fights, I think this is even money going into it. You ask a lot of the professionals out there, they will say this fight is very, very close. And not to say Sabatini doesn't have the skills on the feet to be able to outmaneuver, outwit Almeida, but I do think he's a more well-rounded fighter. And like we said before in a segment, not always the best fighter wins on that night. It's the best fighter of that night that gets it done. Derek, what you got?
Right. So I wanted to pull up the over and under on this one just to see what the odds makers were thinking on this. And I mean, if you had to guess, what do you think the over and under is?
1.5.
2.5. However, if we're looking at odds, plus 110 for the over, minus 140 for the under on 2.5 rounds. So they're thinking that this one does get done within the distance. And it's actually... yeah, that's an interesting one right there, man. I'm a little surprised. I thought the numbers would be a little different than that. But, I mean, fair play. So, with that being said, I like Sabatini. AJ likes Almeida. Someone going to sleep. That just makes a fun fight, you know.